Hi, my name is Leah, and in this video we'll show you how to prepare a new academic year in Full Fabric. So let's start by the student-facing side. The first step is to update the application portal, also called the Student Hub. Let's start by going to Apps, and on the portal page, you'll have a list of all your existing pages. The ones that we need to update and make sure that in terms of content they are up to date are the ones that will be available when applicants become students. So most likely you already have these pages in the system created and you just need to update the content. We are going to use these two examples to set up and update the pages and the content of the student portal. So click on the pinwheel on the right hand side to access the page. Let's start by going to the Contents tab. On this tab, you can double click over this area, and here you can update all the information about the content of this page. So let's just update the information here. Click on this area. You can make any other changes. For example, if you have files uploaded, links and things like that, you can just make changes to those areas and then click on Save. The other thing that is also important to take into consideration is the audience of a portal page. So obviously, if these pages need to be available to students, you should have also a segment here that allows you to restrict the access to these pages to students. So the step here is clicking on Create a New Rule, choosing this option that says ISA, and then on the second section where you see the rule, you should select Student. So student will be the ones who will only have access to this page. And you can see from the list below, all these profiles have the student statuses. The next step is making sure that in terms of the classes and the programs that you want to update and prepare for the new academic year, they are in a specific state. So by clicking on Programs, you can see a list of programs, and let's use the MSc Business Admin as an example. Here you can see on this area that the class is on the closed application status. So we need to update the status of this class to make sure that it transits to in progress. And from here, you can then start creating all the relevant information for this intake. So let's do that. Click on the top right hand side and go to General Settings. And on this page, click on Institution and then select the right program. So in this case, the MSc Business Admin. Click on the pinwheel on the right hand side, and here you can see the class that is on the application closed status. Once again, click on the pinwheel, and on this area, you can see the different dates that are currently set up. So the status of this class is Applications Closed. You can either use the option Do Not Update State Automatically and manually move the class to Class in Progress, or you can just make sure that the class dates are correct. So when the class moves to a Class in Progress, it will be based on the dates that you see at the bottom of this page. The next step is creating the items, the study plan courses and subjects that will then be studied by these students. So to do that, click back and once again back, and we'll go back to this initial page. On this page, we need to access the Subjects tab. So click on Subjects, and you can see a list of all the existing subjects. Most likely, these subjects will not need to be changed or adjusted. The only reason that you would create a new subject is if you are actually offering a new area of study for this new intake. You can click on Add New Subject, create a subject code that can be whatever you want it to be. In this case, we are going to put it as Business 101, and then the subject name. So Business 101, and click on Add Subject. So once again, click on Back to Institution. And from this page, let's go to the courses page. So the courses are the individual intakes for each of the subjects that you have available in the system. These are the ones that you would most likely need to create each and every start of the academic year. So click on Add New Course, select from the existing list a subject, and let's select Business 101 that we just created before and give it a name. So for this course, let's put it as September 2022 and click on Add Course. So you've now created one course. You will need to do this for all the subjects that need to have a course for the study plan that you will then create next. So the next step, now that you have created subjects and that you have created courses, is creating the study plan. To do that, go back to Programs. Let's go back to the program MSc in Business Admin. And on the class of 2024, let's start creating the study plan. So the study plan can be created through this top right-hand side where you see Study Plan Template. Let's click here. And on a study plan, you can have three types of subjects: core subjects, elective subjects, or extracurricular subjects. Click on Add Study Plan Subject on the top right-hand side and select from the existing list of subjects. Once again, let's use Business 101. And when you click on the course, you'll see all the existing courses and you can select the one that you have just created. So let's select the September 2022. You also need to define the course type. Let's start by selecting core. It can be a core, an elective, or an extracurricular. In this case, we want this Business 101 to be a core course. You also need to define the credits. So these are the number of credits that will be awarded when each and every student finalizes this specific course. So let's put it 15 for example. And although the remaining fields are available here, they are not mandatory. So you can actually create a new course on the study plan without adding any more information. So let's click on Add Subject. You can then keep on creating additional subjects and courses for the study plan. And once you're happy with the information, you will see on this page on the study plan all the information regarding all the courses that are linked to this intake. The other thing that you also need to set up is on the study plan is the details of the course. So you need to identify credits, and let's define what is the number of credits that are necessary for someone to graduate from this class. So let's put 60, click on Save Changes. The next step is also defining the transcript grade. So the transcript grade will allow you to identify the final grade, if it's in percentage or if it's an average. And depending on what you select, you can then define what information you need to add on this section. So selecting grade percentage will allow you to define a maximum transcript grade, and it will also allow you to define a maximum transcript grade in terms of the decimal places. Okay? So let's select grade average on this area. The last step on this page is to define the degree class. This will allow you to define what are the levels in terms of the degree that is awarded to students once they graduate. So you can say that if they have a final transcript grade of under 50, you will then have this option set up as fail. So you set it up on the minimum 0, on the maximum 49. So you know that if they have any grade between these values, they will fail. And then you can keep on adding additional information. So you can say pass. You can also define the degree class as sufficient, excellent, good. So this allows you to be very flexible in terms of the degree class that is awarded once someone finalizes their courses. So click on Save. and the information is automatically saved in the system. So let's click on Back to Study Plan to go back to the initial list that we had started setting up. So once you keep on adding courses and you're happy with the list, this will become the list that will be displayed for each and every student's transcript for this specific program and this particular intake. So let's go back to the top pinwheel on the right-hand side corner, go back to General Settings, and on the General Settings, let's set up an automation that will allow you to create in bulk transcripts for all the students for this class. Click on Institution, click on Lifecycle Workflow, click on Create a new Lifecycle Workflow, give it a name, we can say Create Transcripts. Click on Create a Lifecycle Workflow, and let's select the program or programs that you want this automation to be applied to. So in our case, we are going to select Class of 2024. Click then on the Workflows tab and click on Add Workflow. So the automation that we want to trigger is whenever someone is moved from any status to the status of student enrolled, we want the action to be defined as create a transcript. So let's select create a transcript here, and that's it in terms of creating the automation. Now that we have this automation set up, moving all the applicants that have been enrolled to the student status. Let's click on Programs. Once again, go to the program and to the specific class. And from here, we can then move all the admitted applicants to the student status. So the easiest way to do that is clicking on these applicants that have been enrolled, and then through a bulk update, choose the option Update State and Substate. This will allow you to move all applicants to the student enrolled status in one go. So click on Update all the profiles, and you can now see that these applicants have been automatically moved to the student enrolled status. Now that we have done all these initial steps in terms of creating subjects, creating courses, setting up the study plan, the last action is to create the calendar. So let's go to the academics area. Click on Academics on the left-hand side and click on Calendar. On the calendar, we know that we can filter by the specific class that we are trying to create courses for and sessions for. So let's filter by the Business Admin course. Click on Class, select the MSc Business Admin Class of 2024, and the system will automatically filter by the list of all the courses that are linked to this program and this class. Click over the courses. In this case, let's go once again to the Business 101. Click on the Details tab, and here this is the first step, defining some information about this specific course. So we need to start by defining when the course starts and when the course ends. Click over this area, and through the calendar you can then define when is the start date for the course and when is the last day for the course. So let's say this course ends at the end of this year, so let's define 31st of December and click on Done. The next step is also defining who are the lecturers for this specific course. From this list, you'll have a predefined list of lecturers. If any lecturer does not exist on this area, you can also create them to the master list of lecturers. So let's select a lecturer here on this area. You can select more than one lecturer, so let's select one more. And then the last details of the course are defining the language and also if you should allow any custom transcript course names. So you can define a yes or no, and this will allow you to customize specific courses on the transcripts of each student. The next step is creating the sessions. On the sessions page, you can add a session manually. So by default, you can see that the subject and the course are already selected, and you can still give it a custom name. So you can say that the first session is the intro. The session location can be a specific room. Let's put 1.1.2. Or you can also add a URL to an online meeting room. The next step is also defining when the session starts and when the session ends. So let's say the first session is on the 1st of September, and it will take place from 9 a.m. and it will end at 10 a.m. So once again, just select September, the 1st of September, and then select the time that the session ends. Click on Done, and we have now defined when the session starts, when the session ends. If there is a specific lecture for a session, you can also add it here. If not, the system will automatically assume that it's the course lecture. So click on Add Session to create the first session. Now that you have created your first session, the next step is creating the remaining sessions in the system. You can either duplicate a session by clicking on the icon next to the first session, and the only thing that you need to do is review the information, change the date and the time that the session takes place, and eventually, if it's in a different room, also make those changes. And this can be done multiple times for as many sessions that you need to create. The next step is setting up the grades of this course. By default, in the system, you will only have a final grade, but you can also create partial grades. So to create a partial grade, click on Add Partial, give it a name. It can be, for example, a group assignment, and give it a specific weight. So the weight can be 10, 20, 30%. You can define it directly on this area. So let's say 20%. And then the other partial grade can be, for example, a final exam that will weigh the remaining 80%. So let's click here, and you can now see that you have two partial grades, one for the final exam and one for the group assignment. The last step in terms of a course is to register students for that specific course. So go to the Register tab and click on Register Students. Here you can filter by the specific program or intake, and from there find just a list of students for that specific program to register for. In this case, we have this entire list of students to register. Click on Register All, or individually you can register students for this specific course. So let's click on Register All, and you can see that all students are now registered. Close this pop-up, and from this list you can see these are the students that will be attending this specific course. So these are the steps in terms of creating an academic year and preparing your Full Fabric portal for the new intakes. The next step is to repeat this for all the different courses that you have set up on the study plan for that particular intake. Steps are entering the course and adding all the details, and from there, then registering students once you are ready. You can set up the entire academic year without registering students, and only at the beginning of that academic year come back to this area and then register them for the courses that they should have access through their student hub. Now that we have finalized the setup in terms of the back office area and created the entire academic year, the final step is to make sure everything works on the student-facing side. So log in with your test user and take your time to ensure that all the information is accurate and up to date. Validate any links, any buttons that you have added, Make sure that by clicking over your name at the bottom left-hand side, you have access to the calendar, to your transcripts. So you can click on calendar, see the list of all the courses that you are registered as a test student, enter any of the courses. You can look at the list of sessions and resources as well. Once you have reviewed everything in terms of the student-facing side, this is the last step, making sure that everything is ready for the start of the new academic year. Congratulations, you've completed this tutorial. Thanks for watching. We hope this was helpful. Don't forget to check out our Help Center and our YouTube channel for more information.